Hello and welcome to the 2026 Adobe Creative Trends livestream. I am your host, Raul Salon from the Adobe Contributors Relation teams. And for anyone who may not know, Adobe Stock has millions of royalty-free photos, videos, illustrations, audio files, and much more for your creative projects. Our community of contributors are the ones who are in charge of creating these assets for us and put them for sale from all over the world. So, since we are talking about all over the world, please say hello on the chat if you're watching us live. Say where you are joining from. I'm in Madrid, in Europe. So, thank you for being there. And hi, Brenda, my colleague Brenda Milis, who is accompanying me today. Hi, Brenda, how are you doing?
Hey, Raul. I'm doing really well. I'm happy to be here. I just always love to talk about trends.
So, Brenda, what can you tell us about your job at Adobe and your role in creating
Sure.
these creative trends for Adobe?
Yeah, sure. So I lead both the Creative Trends and Cultural Insights programs, both of which identify content growing customer demand, driven by a variety of global forces like macroeconomics, developments in creative technology, shifting social expectations like around diversity, aging, wellness, and more. Because these major global drivers are always in flux, customer content demand is always evolving. So, in terms of my role with the Creative Trends Report, throughout the year, I actively research and track the kinds of content Adobe customers are trying to find and create in the Creative Cloud. Our 2026 Creative Trends Report was developed through extensive research using internal and external data, as well as feedback from Adobe Creative Cloud
Mhm.
communities. So I'm very excited to share the 2026 creative trends. These are aesthetics and techniques that will continue to grow in media presence throughout the year. This is all to support our creative community's own visual production plans.
So this is something I always say, I always comment whenever we're presenting these creative trends. Like
Mhm.
this is hard work. This is not something you just came up with, but there is this extensive
Sure.
research, talking with
Yeah.
other people, talking to the communities. And
Mhm.
what can we expect for 2026 after this research?
Sure. So, what we're seeing for this new year ranges from really authentic emotional design to delightfully strange AI driven visuals. Creatives are using technology not as a replacement for creativity, but something to really amplify it. The demand for content production, we all know, is continuing to soar. Recent Adobe research found.
Oops, I think you just froze. Okay, we just obviously we go live and we have an issue with this. So let's wait for a moment. Let's see if Brenda can return. Meanwhile, I wanted to focus on one of the things that she just said about using creative technology as a way not to replace creativity but to amplify. Like creativity can use those tools and we can use that to improve our creativity, but not as something to substitute it. So just please give me 1 second. I don't know exactly what happened here, um, but suddenly she disappeared. Brenda disappeared. Let's see if we can fix this. Okay, there she is.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, there you are. I
Yes.
was afraid for a moment. Okay.
There has been in the last few days to give you to help you understand my technological problems. There's been this huge Verizon outage, mostly in the United
Mm,
States. So it's been affecting like over a million people. So even
okay.
Adobe sometimes has technical problems.
Yeah, it had to happen
Anyways,
during the live, obviously.
yeah. So okay. Um, what I really want to point out is even though there's so many people at all skill levels able to create visuals faster than ever before, it's really important that we understand that more is more in terms of imagery to license, only
Hmm.
if artists are aware of the types of images that are engaging consumers and stand out from the crowd in this sadly very crowded and very
Yeah.
competitive visual landscape. Yeah. So we just want to be clear that that's our contemporary bind. As more people are creating more content more quickly, creatives and contributors really need to know which kinds of visuals are becoming more interesting and relevant to consumers and audiences around the world in order to make an impact and stand out from the crowd.
There is something I wanted to
Mhm.
talk also to mention, because you said this more is more only if what you are
Mhm.
producing is actually something that our customers need. It's not like
Yeah.
a thing that you need to send as many images. Like it's
Mm-mm.
not a massive number of images is going to get you success
No.
in your stock career. It's knowing what kind of images our customers are
Mhm.
looking for, what kinds of
Yeah.
images you need to create in order to
Yeah.
have success as a stock contributor. So I think we are ready now, right, for the fun stuff, for our four trends for the 2026.
Let's do it.
By the way, for those of you who are watching us, it may improve your viewing experience if you switch to full screen, because we are going to be sharing some images so you can see them better. And in any case, I will also try to share the links if I can
Okay.
on the chat, so you can access directly to the selection, to the galleries that we created, or curators created for those trends. So, Brenda, what will be the first one?
Okay, first of all, I want to say, please watch this full screen because these are visuals and these are visually driven trends. Our first of the four 2026 creative trends is called, as you see on the slide, all the feels. This is a trend that delivers maximum sensory messaging, or we can just say multi sensory messaging. Now, after years of doing what we're doing now, staring at screens, people want to be transported away from their digital lifestyles and into full sensory experiences. They want their senses to be engaged. What we're witnessing is a huge surge in content across all sectors that present in your face, larger than life, more intense than life visuals with the focus on multisensory experiences. Big, bold, and sometimes almost overwhelming, this approach makes visual messaging impossible to ignore and a whole lot of fun. So, a recent study by The Drum, which basically does a lot of research on commercial projects
Mhm.
and the creative landscape, shows that 82% of global consumers expect as many of their senses to be engaged as possible when experiencing something new. So that also includes looking at a new picture, looking at a new video or film.
Okay, so this
Mhm.
sensorial stimulation would explain, for example, why live events are especially effective and interesting
Yeah.
at building brand reputation and loyalty to our customers, right?
Yep, that's exactly it. So even if people are only giving an image or a video 3 seconds of their time, they
Mhm.
still want to be surrounded and immersed in an experience that awakens something deeper than just looking at something, than just vision. They want something to leave a lasting imprint. And visuals that reflect the all feels trend deliver exactly that. It's almost like visuals have to work harder than ever.
Yeah, but when we are talking about creating Adobe stock content, then
Mhm.
we are talking about images that affect all the senses, right? Like
That's
a
exactly
tactile
it.
sensation, like a warmth or coldness, or even, I don't know, pleasant smells, sorry, or taste, or even sound, this kind of all this
Well, ple-
all the feels, all the
yeah,
senses.
pleasant smells work too, but yes, pleasant smells. This is the idea that through our through our eyes, we're simulating or conveying other senses that make the images have a greater impact, that make them more powerful and appealing.
So if we go, for example, with
Cool.
this image, I'm going to
Yeah,
put it like full screen, even though we are
sure.
like the. But when we go for this image here, what we see is how this image, it's part of this trend, it's part of this older fields, because
Mhm.
we can kind of feel it. We see this contrast between the cold, the snow, these blue tones that convey
Yeah,
this
it's almost the snow.
sensation.
Almost, it
Yeah,
almost feels crispy. That's how I
yeah.
think of it. It's icy, crispy. Whereas that, the flamingo, obviously, those beautiful textured very pink
Hmm.
feathers. But what really gets my eye is that just kind of voluminous, luxurious feather
Yeah.
cape or coat that it's wearing. I love this picture. I asked us to use this picture. This picture was created by a stock contributor in Firefly.
Hmm.
We asked her, hey, can
Yeah.
you create something for the trends? And so I just think it's so beautiful because you're right. It's a study in contrast, but you almost feel the cold, like you were saying with that palette. So it's almost like you can feel cold, feel the tactility, and it's just I don't know, sumptuous, if you will. It
Yeah,
is.
but
It's sumptuous.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's that plushiness of the
Mhm.
feathers and the coat and everything that
Mhm.
makes you feel that image. And I
Mhm.
think it would be nice if we could move to the next one,
Sure.
which it's always like a mouthful to say to me
Okay,
with
I know what we're
this
gonna
this
see. Oh,
trend.
yeah. Connectioneering. I get it. It is a mouthful. It is definitely a mouthful. So this trend relates to images that spark deep emotions and connect deeply with consumers through those shared emotions. So I don't think it will be a surprise to you all that
Mm,
we're living in a time where people are really seeking common ground, shared emotions from joyful to inspiring to bittersweet. These emotions, which are quite profound, bring people together in truly positive and powerful ways. They unite us rather than divide us. That's really the key. We're all looking to
mm.
connect.
But these visuals
Mhm.
don't look like trendy to me. I
Mhm.
mean,
Mhm.
the style is contemporary and not it's not old fashioned. It's not very stocky, like white background, all these kind of things. And except for the diverse demographic representation, they look like evergreen images, like images that are being in the stock business forever, just with human connection, right?
Yeah, it's a great point, and I'll kind of clarify that. I think it's really important to clarify. So while these types of images they don't look trendy, they don't look edgy, they don't look like a TikTok micro trend. It's the interest in this kind of content with all kinds of consumers and Adobe customers that is landing Connectioneering in this group of global macro trends. The
Uh-huh.
Connectioneering trend is really celebrates with storytelling that reminds us of what it means to be human, our commonalities. These kinds of visuals really resonate with a huge, diverse range of audiences. And in the AI era, human emotions are becoming ever more valuable and will become clear connectors across geographies and industries in the years to come. So it's really the social context, the era in
Hmm.
which we're living now. And just as you said, these don't look stocky, and that's the constant challenge with stock. These have to look natural to convey those emotions. Gallup research found that 70% of consumer decisions are driven by emotional factors. Additionally, 85% of consumers are not satisfied with their brand's emotional marketing efforts. Emotionally connected clients, this is important for companies looking for engaging visuals. Emotionally connected clients have a 52% value over consumers that are just satisfied. So that's a lot of powerful
Yeah.
numbers there.
And we,
Yeah.
we need to keep in mind that those consumers or customers are the people who are going to buy your images that you are
Mhm. Exactly.
uploading, that you're submitting to Adobe Stock. But I just want to be clear, like these kind of visuals must look and feel real and authentic, right? To be
Yeah.
that impactful that you were saying. Like they usually work best when they feel like natural, organic photography instead of AI images, because real photos capture like subtle details and emotions and gestures that generative AI is not there.
I think that's very fair to say. Yeah. Real connection is not always easy to
Mm.
capture, even with cameras. It does very much land squarely in traditional photography and videography because it really is an art to convey the nuances of those real and shared emotions.
Yeah, that natural, real
Mhm.
feeling has always been like a key part of a strong stock image. Like
That's right.
we can have this image. It was like the cover image for this. I'm going to try it. Connectioneering
Yay,
creative
good.
trend. It's
That's right.
again, it's a mouthful to me to say that. Um, but yeah, like everything is very
Mhm.
flowy. I'm going to change because I feel like we are covering like a
Oh,
part
okay,
of
sure.
the
You're gonna
image.
change where our thumbnail
Yeah,
for yeah,
so
sure. Sure.
image is smaller, but maybe we are not in the middle of it, so it's easier to appreciate it. But it's like this kind of
Mhm,
connection, that we see here, not just the physical
mhm.
one, the way I don't know the hair, the flowy hair is interacting, and it's not creating artifacts that it could happen with generative AI, but it's this connection between those people, those person that we see, those two girls that we see there.
There's a
What it's
sense
really good,
of
yeah.
ease. There's a sense of ease. These girls or women, sorry, these women look to feel so comfortable, so natural. When I look at this picture, I think, wow, these two friends don't even need to talk to enjoy each other's company. You know what I mean? It's like you're a
Mhm.
friend who you're just hanging out with. You don't even need to have chitter chatter conversation. I also think, on a formal basis, this perspective of looking up at them is kind of magnetizing and engaging the flow of the hair. But
Yeah.
the photographer here made this friendship, this moment connection look so natural. And I think there's so many commercial uses for an image like this that there's an
Mhm.
ambiguity of what's going on here. We don't
Yeah.
have to know, but I think companies would be interested in using this image because they can tag on whatever messaging they want to.
Yeah,
Does that
but
make sense?
this, yeah,
Yeah.
but it's also like this is a
Mhm.
positive image. They are relaxed, they
Mhm.
feel connected. And I want to say, because I see there are some movement in the chat, it's difficult because I'm like a one-man band here right now with
Yes.
all the things at the same time. I try to keep an eye on the chat. I saw
Uh-huh.
that
Yeah.
Atrikion Korogami, I don't know, I'm butchering the name. I'm sorry, but
Mhm.
she, I'm assuming it's a she because of the profile pic. How could
Mhm.
you apply emotional connection in a post or ad? And this is like
Mhm.
something that we could be discussing a long time. But here, for example, like having
Yeah.
these elements of connection between human beings, it's a great way of having this emotional connection, this whole having two people there
Mhm.
interacting, being in a comfortable situation, creating that mood as a photographer in
Mhm.
this case, as a videographer, creating that sense of comfort can help having that emotional connection.
Casting
And
is a
that,
big part of this. Yeah,
yeah,
casting is a bit a part of this. Maybe these are friends. A lot of our contributors, and you may notice a lot of our contributors work with friends and family exactly because of that
hmm
reason. Not just because they're available, but because they know the person behind the lens and each other. That's a lovely
yeah.
way to be able to capture connection, if you will.
And the good thing also about this
Mm.
this image is
Mhm.
well, we have an unusual point of view. It's a little bit lower the
Yeah,
camera, and we see more of the sky, but something is happening. There is a story between those two girls.
yeah.
We don't know which one. They are friends, they are lovers, we don't know, but there is a story behind that.
Mhm.
And good storytelling is something that also matters a lot when we are
Mhm.
creating an image that we want it to be successful on stock. It's
Mhm.
good technical quality, good storytelling, and also catching the viewer's eye, having an image that's catchy. And speaking of catching the eye, here it
I
is.
love this trend. I love this trend. This is clearly, I think clearly, surreal silliness, whether totally absurd or really chaotic. This trend is all about being purely playful. So, surreal silliness is kind of, it's interesting. We live in a kind of chaotic time, and this is joyful chaos. This is like taking chaos that's challenging and flipping it on its head. So it's the joyful chaos of creativity unleashed and unhinged. It's the wild side of imagination where logic really takes a back seat and humor really leads.
Yeah, I think it's interesting what you say, like this
Hmm.
backseat, like logic takes a backseat. And
Mhm.
because I think the magic lies in not overthinking it. It's like,
That's
okay,
a good point.
just send surreal work that feels alive and just self aware enough to make you smile. It has to be content that, yeah,
Yeah.
knows it's kind of silly and surreal. And that's the intent to have this moment of smile.
Yeah. And one of the reasons it's so engaging is really, I think people look at these types of images like, what is going on here? And they actually, not only does it attract a viewer's attention, they spend time looking at it to figure it out. It takes time. So these are the kinds of images that take time, that a viewer will take time on, and then it's funny. It's really funny, and it doesn't really have to make sense.
Hmm.
This is just, it's crazy and wonderful. I happen to love it. So Vice is reporting that 68% of global youth and young adults are searching for humorous content that is entertaining while providing an escape from reality. That's huge, that escape from reality right now. And Kantar research shows that brands which are described as fun and playful have a stronger ability to build future demand, like 24 points above average. And again, for companies looking to license stock, this is really important. That's, the companies are just as interested in these trends as creatives are, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to kind of build that bridge to show
Hmm.
our customers what their audiences are much more engaged with, and showing you what our customers therefore are becoming much more interested in.
Yeah, and that's also what we said at the beginning. There is a huge, lots of research behind these, looking for these trends. Even though
Mhm.
something that you could say,
Yeah.
okay, this is silly to be a trend, is real silliness,
Mhm.
but actually there is a reason behind that. And
Mhm.
for this kind of visual, for example, we are focusing, I believe, mostly on funny images that help us evade a reality that, well, yeah, help us evade reality.
Yes.
And I
Yeah.
think that this is where a tool like generative AI can make our lives much easier. I mean, you could
Mhm.
create these kind
Yeah.
of images with a camera, with Photoshop, but yeah, it's easier, it's faster to do it
Yes.
like that.
To iterate.
But
To iterate. Yeah.
yeah, but
Absolutely. Yeah.
I also think that it's something really important to keep in mind that this content has to have this commercial appeal. It needs to
Mhm.
appeal to customers. It's not just sending
Yeah.
whatever crazy idea you have. You have Instagram, you have other platforms to do that. You have to keep that commercial appeal always in the back of your mind when creating images so they can be helpful for our customers.
Yeah. And I think not only is that critical, that they do have to have commercial appeal. And these do have commercial appeal, but these are all, we're presenting images to you that have been produced thoughtfully.
Mhm.
We also, I want to add, we also don't want creatives to come away from this session and recreate what you've seen. Like, we don't need another tiger floating on a
Yeah.
raft in a pool, even though it's one of my favorite pictures. We already have that. So it's really kind of being one of the profound and powerful elements of serial silliness, working within that trend or with that trend, is that these are really unique pictures. So we don't want more of the same. And yes, AI is so helpful with creating these kinds of pictures because you can play around with your prompts. You can iterate and produce very easily. So AI is fueling this new wave of entertaining visuals. They can be dreamlike and funny. They're
Mhm.
still rather human. They're still connecting. We're seeing, however, that said, many companies and sectors embracing this trend through traditional photography and video, frankly. I watch thousands of commercials, global commercials a year, and that's great and also awful for me. But I, depending on how good the commercial is, it's one of the
Yeah.
main ways I can confirm that these are growing trends, because I really work with a lot of big brands, and I've seen huge interior design campaigns that are completely surreal, that never would have done this before. Food and beverage is doing this, technology, yeah, for sure. They are looking to effectively use this kind of fun weirdness. They're looking to slash through our fatigue, frankly, with all the images we see every day, stop us scrolling in our tracks. Because again, this is kind of the irony of AI. When everything starts to look and feel predictable, nothing
Mhm.
stands out like the unexpected. So what we're simultaneously telling you is, yeah,
Yeah.
play with AI, but also work with your own style, evolve
Exactly.
your own style, right?
It's what
Yeah.
you say. We
Yeah.
don't need that image or this video because
Even
we
though I
have
love
it.
it.
And the thing
Yeah.
is, as you said, we need to keep in
Yeah.
mind. I don't know if I'm going to
Yeah.
keep it looping all the time, the video, because it's too short and a little
Sure,
bit
sure.
distracting, even though it's cool.
Okay.
But the thing is, the motion is one of the things that keep us
Yeah.
making like keep or focus there.
Mm,
I'm looking on the other side of the monitor. I'm just realizing because the way I have
mm.
my setup. But the thing is, when we look at this video, we look at this. This is catching our eye. This is something that stands out because maybe I can be looking for this kind of image, this
Mm.
kind of video, short video, because I'm working on I don't know the housing industry, the real estate. Sorry, I didn't get the proper word.
It,
So I'm
you know what
working
I
on real
think?
estate, something, and then I find
Yeah,
something that it's
yeah,
like weird and doesn't make much
yeah.
sense, but it's catchy and I think it's funny and use it.
Well, I just thought of something because you said real estate, and I can think of different industries using this. So I'll just kind of riff. I think when I think this would be great for insurance, like guard your home
Well,
from the beasts. Right? So you're exactly right. Not only does the strangeness, but it's beautifully done. I mean, the rendering is very realistic, but not only is the strangeness of this scene, which would never happen, a real tiger floating around in your pool, that's the first thing that makes you think what's going on here. And the second thing, just like you said, Raul, is our eye, we tend to watch motion for longer than still because we want to see where it goes, right?
yeah.
From start to finish. So those are two hugely engaging elements working beautifully together.
Hmm.
um, I'm seeing so much of this type of work in fashion, things that are like quirky and don't really go together. But again, I admire the beauty of this image. It's
Yeah.
beautiful. But you're right. This could be used by a lot of different sectors. But if I were insurance, I'd use this, quite frankly, which is strange. And that's what I'm trying to tell you is some of the most traditional,
Hmm.
conservative uh, business types are actually delving into this because everybody wants to make their brand imagery fun. I
Yeah.
just saw a cleaning product that went into this surreal silliness because
Oh,
there's nothing fun or sexy about cleaning products, but they said they embrace this surreal silliness to get your attention. Yeah, it's interesting.
so I there is a message from art
Oh,
to
cool.
art. Sorry, again butchering.
Mhm.
That he says he's asking again, assuming he is a he, maybe a she. They are asking, does all this strangeness sell well, or is it just a trend? And well, again, you have
I can answer that.
these
Yeah.
yeah, but I'll let you
So
answer directly.
just well, for all of these ones, first of all, that's such a good question because all of these trends, including this one, surreal silliness, they all start out as kind of niche, fun little niche trends. And yes, this trend really started with an appeal to teens and young adults. We'd say Gen Alpha and Gen Z. That's how it started. My job in identifying the creative trends is to ensure they're actually being, these trends are being used by big global corporations. In other words, they have hit mainstream appeal.
Mhm.
And so when I'm looking, watching all these commercials and campaigns, I'm seeing big, like I said, not particularly edgy brands working with this trend. And that's when I say, aha, I see beauty, technology, food and beverage, interior design, very well established companies working with this trend. And our goal, and we've had great success for many years, our goal is to present trends that are not only have huge mainstream appeal, they have global appeal,
Mm,
and they are macro trends, which means we tend to see these scaling in popularity and commercial presence throughout the year.
yeah,
So I
and
hope that I hope that answers your question. Yeah, it goes
I,
from niche
I,
to mainstream.
since there is
Yeah.
a huge delay, because I'm
Yeah.
noticing there is a huge delay, we won't
Okay.
know until a while if that
Okay.
was a good answer for this person. But I
Okay.
think it was, and I think it's also something that works well with
Mhm.
the next trend, which is already the fourth, the last creative trend we have for this year, which is local flavor.
Mhm.
And you were saying like there are things that are go global and go macro, and there are other things that goes and
Mhm.
focus on localized experiences and
Yeah.
communities and cultures, for example, whose diversity and uniqueness,
Yeah.
it's like it resonate deeply with consumers in again our screen filled digitalized lives. Like we
Mhm.
were talking at the beginning, we are always looking at a screen. We are with a screen right now, so this is something that helps
Mhm.
um, focus on those experiences, right?
Yeah, and I think people who are watching this session have now figured out, since we're on our fourth trend, there's such a beautiful balance in consumer appetite right now for wacky, often AI driven visuals, and balanced out by really authentic imagery, often traditional photography and videography, because people kind of crave that balance. And so with local flavor, we think of our lives as being global because in many ways our lives have become global thanks to digital lifestyles. Digital lifestyles and internet have broken down boundaries, but people are really craving to fully experience the beauty of other cultures, that uniqueness, that diversity. I was
Hmm.
just saying with Surreal Silliness, when everything starts to look the same, people crave unique, diverse, and authentic imagery. So this trend is all about experiencing through sight the cultures, the colors, the textures, the voices, even the tastes of specific places, rediscovering authenticity through local living. So this trend celebrates the beauty of everyday life around the world, from the streets in Tokyo to very intricate fashion in Dali. It shows cultures through its own people's eyes, and that's really the key here, rather through a distant lens. These are not images that are taken by tourists. In other words, they are taken
Hmm.
by people who are part of that community. So it's imagery that feels lived in, spontaneous, and not staged.
So here for me, I believe that we should
Mhm.
strive for that
Mhm.
authenticity that real photos or videos can create, right?
Yeah,
Especially to avoid
yeah,
issues, like
yeah.
misrepresentation,
Mhm.
inconsistencies in visuals,
Yeah.
or other problems that may be overlooked by someone who is not part of that culture of tradition, like a tourist or somebody who is generating an image and suddenly the city
Mhm.
doesn't make sense or something like that.
That's right. Yeah. You know, I think it's really relevant here for me to mention, and maybe I should have mentioned it up top at the beginning, but I work with many, many customers, Adobe customers who license Adobe stock, of course.
Mhm.
And I'd say in the last year, I have heard more requests on virtually every customer session, more requests for authentic local imagery because it's so interesting. Big global companies have, of course, customers around the world, and they want to ensure that they are connecting to local communities. And so more and more big enterprise companies are looking to kind of create segmented brand messaging that is specific to different regions and different places. So that kind of authentic presentation of communities and cultures is more important than ever before, which delights me because we have creatives all over the world, and we're saying we know our customers want you, if you will, to be shooting where you live, what you know, that culture, because
Mhm.
there's so much demand for it right now. Showing life as it's lived, if you will. Shot by local creators, spotlighting regional living. That's really it.
Yeah, but even if it's a bit niche, as we
Mm.
were saying before, it's a great idea because first
Mhm.
it helps humanizing the brands who are
Yeah,
also
that's
our
it.
customers, who
Yeah,
are also double stock
yeah.
customers who are going to buy your images,
Hmm.
because it allows them to relate to their local audiences, while also sharing something that is unique of your culture,
Yeah,
unique from your country, your city, your region.
yeah.
You share that with the world at large, with
Mhm.
the rest of the
That's right.
community, and I think that's something to
Right.
be proud of. And I wanted to say, Brenda, yes, because I just
Hmm.
realized there is a huge delay, and we will say at the end,
Okay.
hey, if there are any questions, please leave them on the
Mhm.
chat, and then we say, okay, nobody's asking anything, that's it. But there is a huge delay, so maybe whenever they hear me say
Okay.
that, they start asking questions, and the stream is over already. So I'm saying it here
Well,
before we go to the
yeah.
next image. So just
Okay.
if you have any questions about the trends, about what we are talking about, just leave them on the chat. Meanwhile, we keep with this, and I keep an eye on the chat. Meanwhile, so
Raul,
yeah,
I think too, because I can't see the chat, we have such different setups.
okay,
I think too that I believe someone behind the scenes is or has already shared the curated collections for visual reference for each of
yeah,
the trends. Is that right?
it's me who is sharing also
Oh, it's
the
you too.
links to
Okay.
the galleries.
Okay,
I'm
cool. Thank
trying
you.
to manage everything.
Yeah,
It's
I know. I
Yeah,
know. You have a
it's a bit
very
stressful.
complicated task.
It's a bit stressful, but it's the end of
It's
the
worth
week.
it.
It's Friday
Yeah.
already. I can deal with this. I have a weekend afterwards, and I can relax after we
Yes,
finish.
you
So that's
can.
okay. But we have this image. This is the image that
I love it.
was selected as the
Mhm.
header for this topic, this
Mhm.
local flavor. Uh, I
This is a
don't
pre-wedding. This is a
a
pre-wedding,
pre-wedding.
traditional
Okay.
pre-wedding holiday celebration before a
Ah,
traditional
okay.
Indian wedding. And yes, it was shot at a traditional Indian wedding.
Mm-hmm.
I love that the authenticity comes from that it's really shot in an actual Indian wedding. So there's attention to authentic detail and the
Okay.
texture of the clothing, the henna, the offerings for
Mm-hmm.
the bride and groom. This is supposed to be a cleansing ceremony. All of those traditional elements are quite clearly conveyed in this picture. What I also love about it, I tend to love ambiguity because you and I, Raul, we're always thinking about we want different types of businesses to be interested in licensing a picture because frankly we want our contributors to make money, so we really like to focus. We're trying to help you make a living, so
Yeah.
we really want to show you where, when, and how specific images can appeal to so many different types of business. And here, what we see is we don't see faces, you know? So
Mm-hmm.
that
That's.
gives a company so much room to tell their own story. Yes, it
Mm-hmm.
is going to be centered clearly around this pre wedding ritual, but they can play with messaging as much as they want. That's my point of view. And
Yeah.
it's so clearly authentic. You feel
And
like you're there.
I think that's a great point where to say
Mhm.
whenever we see anonymized images, I don't
Anonymous.
know if
Yeah,
yeah,
anonymous.
anonymous
Yeah.
pictures where you cannot see the faces. Um,
Mhm.
it's not a thing that I can take this picture and I can upload it without needing like those people
Model
signing
releases. Model
the
releases. Yeah.
releases, the model releases. You will still need model releases. There are many ways those people can identify each other because of the henna tattoos,
The
because
henna.
of the setting they wear, because there are several people. But it's what you say. It's like I'm not the audience for this pre-show, pre-wedding
Mhm.
Indian wedding, but there are lots of people who might be, and they can
Mhm.
see themselves there in that picture. I can
Mhm.
be okay, not me, but I could be that bride because I don't see her
You
face, and
could,
I can
Raul,
imagine
you could
myself.
be
Not
that
me,
bride. You
maybe
could.
you, maybe the person
Yeah.
who is actually the target of this image. Okay, but
But yeah,
I hope
yeah,
you
we're just,
get what I
yeah, yeah,
mean.
yeah. You also
uh,
brought up a great point about model releases because I
yeah.
assure you, and you already know this, everybody who's joined us, the photographer, actually in this case there were two photographers on the shoot, they took lots of pictures of these same people with their faces showing, so no matter what, you need to get model releases, so please don't ever forget that.
So
So yeah.
I just realized we are
Mhm.
like over time.
Oh shoot,
So
sorry.
we are going to tie this up. We
Okay.
have here like a summary, all those four
Oh yeah, yeah,
slides
yeah,
here, all those like a reminder
yeah,
of all the trends.
yeah. And just to
Um,
wrap it up, just to wrap
yeah.
up our brief but overtime tour of the creative trends for 2026. Um, we just want to acknowledge that we all understand that creativity has always been evolving, yes, but rarely, if ever, this quickly. It can be dizzying. So this makes these types of awareness of what's appealing and relevant to consumers more important than ever before. We're here to support your production strategy.
Mhm.
We're really seeing, as I pointed out before, this convergence of technology and humanity, innovation meeting authenticity. Some creators are building new worlds with AI, but others are telling real stories with traditional equipment that moves us. It's all, however, human led creativity, people leading what's being produced and what comes next, quite frankly.
Yeah, and you have to keep in mind also that not every trend will fit your style as a contributor,
Yeah,
as a creative.
yeah,
But here the key is finding the ones that
yeah.
capture your voice and your audience and even your values. I mean, if you are like a lifestyle photographer, maybe
Mhm.
going for surreal silliness may be over
Yeah,
you, or maybe you can experiment and say, okay, why don't I get this inspiration
true.
and I work with the clothing and try to get something
Yeah.
new and silly. And I just wanted to ask at this because I saw a message from Stephen
Mhm.
Greco 5115 that's talking about property releases. And yeah, he says
Yes.
property releases, especially if your model has tattoos, regarding what we were talking
Oh,
about
yes.
before on this local flavor image. If your model has tattoos and they are visible and they are like important, yeah, you will need a property release. But if you want also to have more information, we have more on
We
our
have lots
helpx
more,
guide.
but
Yeah, I will try
thank
to
you,
put.
Stephen
Yeah.
Greco, for reminding us all here today that all the same guidelines apply. Raul and I get so caught up in the beauty of the trends and the things that resonate. So, yes, there's no expectations for all of these trends to apply to any single person or brand, or to apply all elements of a trend into their projects. We're really showing you what makes up each trend so you can choose how you want to incorporate whichever trend supports and is resonant and relevant to your own work. That's really, we're just wanting to help you strategize and evolve your own visual production so that you feel supported in remaining relevant and, quite frankly, leading edge in
Hmm.
this always changing commercial and creative landscape. So that's really it. That's why we're
Yeah.
here.
So I wanted to thank you all for attending today. It's been great, even though we have this scare at the beginning when Brenda suddenly disappeared, and it was like, oh
Sorry.
my God, my heart started pumping, and
The
it was like, I don't know
Verizon
how to,
tragedy.
I don't know how
Verizon
to follow
tragedy.
with this.
Yes.
But yeah, thank you for being there. We would like also to invite you to join our Discord conversation or Discord server. I'm just
Yeah.
leaving the link if you're not part of that community, because we just launched our creative challenge with these all the fields creative trends. So following that creative trends, we have a creative challenge you can participate. And well, especially you, Brenda, thanks a lot for sharing these
Sorry we
future
went
trends,
overtime,
these
y'all. Yeah.
trends
Yeah.
and those insights. I hope this was inspiring for everybody who is watching. And yeah, thank you so much for all this. Bye bye. Cheers.